This is Josh Reeves, and you're listening to the Mile High Church podcast. Thanks so much for listening to us. Hey, Valerie Kaur, author of the incredible memoir, See No Stranger, great teacher and presenter on the idea of revolutionary love, is coming to Mile High Church on October 3rd. Come to Mile High and see her here in our sanctuary, or if you live far away and can't travel, see her at home online. Tickets are on sale at milehighchurch.org.
The title of my talk today is about fire. It's the fire of inner vision. The fire of inner vision. And I recognize that, just to begin to kind of set this up, even in the Bible, I think Abraham in Genesis, it talks about he was asked to go lay underneath the stars. To lay underneath the stars and to take in the light of the stars. And then we have, who was it? The burning bush. Moses, yeah, I almost said Abraham. Moses, how could I ever forget that? I was even raised on the Bible. Moses, oh, goodness sakes. The burning bush. And he goes up the mountain. And all of a sudden the bush catches fire. And there's many tales. They say that the bush spoke. And the bush said, you know, I am that I am. And we have taught here in religious science that I am is that connection to that greater God, that greater essence, that great spirit that lives within us. And he also received a message. He received a message to take the Israelites, and that was part of his mission, to take that quest to move forward. So there's a lot of information, you know, in the Bible and whatnot about fire. But fire is that spark that lives within us. It supports us. It's always there for us. And I know that's a living truth. So I want to just kind of share about my own life. Don't get bored, because it's about being possible, not the impossible. It's about the possible dream. When I was just a kid, I was real sick with rheumatic fever. And I don't know if that affected my learning abilities in elementary school or not. But then, as I moved forward in school, I recognized that I probably had dyslexia. And that was years ago, probably before it was even spoken about. But I just want to acknowledge my mom. She was a great mom. My daughter knows that. Because she never found me wrong. I'd come home from school, maybe I had a C or a D minus, and she would always say, Patty, I know you're doing your best. I love you, Patty, I know you're doing your best. My mom had a spark of fire in her heart. She had that living spirit, and it reflected in our whole family. So that was kind of my upbringing. And then it's interesting, just to kind of come back to today, a couple weeks ago, I went to my 60th high school reunion. Woo! 60 years. That's a long time. There was about 100 of us there. We came from a really large North High School, Denver, Colorado. Yeah, North. But it was interesting being there, and I recognized that so many of us, we had been living that dream. You know, we have the dream, and we have families and friends. We've had careers, all this type of thing. So it was good being there. At first, I kind of felt like I walked into a nursing home. Don't tell any of my friends from North High, okay? But I recognize that, speaking about the fire can manifest as a deep sense of purpose, a burning desire to learn and grow, or a strong intuition that guides one's actions, pursuing an impossible dream, lofty goals, despite facing difficulties. So that divine vision that lives within each one of us carries a fire. Fire's been utilized to represent, as I've already said, God, the living spirit. And it lives in each one of us. I also know that it lives within our animal kingdom. It's within nature. Last night, my husband and I were coming up our dirt road to our house. We came around a bend. We weren't going fast, thank heavens, very slow. And there was 4 deer standing there. And they just turned, and with those beautiful big old brown eyes, they just looked at us. Fire. All connected to the great golden thread of life itself lives within all of us. And we're called to be able to remember that and to remember who we are, especially at this time in our lives. There's a lot of changes in the weather. I was at a big gathering last night. One moment, it was raining cats and dogs. I saw them, cats and dogs coming down. Then the next moment, it dried up. Sun was out. A lot of changes, not only in the weather, in all our lives, in just institutions, this type of thing. Now is the time for each one of us to be able to come back into that place of possibility, that place of fire within us. I think about Helen Keller. The only thing, she said this, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Having sight but no vision. So we're called to nurture the fire, to hold to the vision. What is a vision? It's what we see about ourselves, what we see about others. It's our ambition, how we want to step forward in life. So transformation, the nature of the fire. And so the inner vision, that reality that's always present. It's always so fun working with people when you see them opening to that inner vision, when you see them coming alive, like they're on fire with an idea, their purpose, who they are. My grandma used to always say, as a little kid, she'd say, Patty, if God is for you, who can be against you? Who can be against you? Well, I recognize that when I was in school, I'm a senior now, and all my friends are planning on college or this or that, I went to the college office. He looked at all my records, and this is a true story. He said to me, "You are not college material. Don't even try." Well, when I got to college, so when I got to college, I remember I put my biology book underneath my pillow, because being dyslexic, you become very intuitive. I thought if I put it under my pillow, maybe I can get the whole book, Didn't quite work that way. But I remember wanting to go into the School of Education to become a teacher. And I think I memorized just about the entire dictionary so I could pass all the tests to get in. So life has been good. And it's about that fire. It's about that flame. I knew as a little kid that someday I would become a minister. And that was riding in Dr. Lee's old Chevy after a church service in a very fundamental church. Dr. Lee kind of liked me, I guess, and asked my parents, can I take her to lunch? So about every other Sunday, Dr. Lee and his wife would take me to lunch. And I'd be riding in the back of that old Chevy. I don't know if that had any influence on where I am now as a minister or not. But I thought about Dr. Lee when I was putting this sermon together. So it's important for us to recognize that vision. And it takes courage to hold this fire, to live with courage. It is to stand as the man of La Mancha does, facing the world's doubts and be able to say, such things are impossible. I think things are possible. They are possible. Another crazy story about my life was when I was now going to be a minister, I'm taking all the courses, you had to take one about speech. And we had a teacher, she was a great lady, and she's passed on, she lives in the spirit world now. But anyway, they would evaluate you after your speech. They had little cards, if it was a 1, 2, or a 3. Well, all my friends would evaluate me and whatnot, but the teacher would never raise her card. So after a couple of weeks of this, after the class, I went up to her and I said, Margaret, how come you never raise your card? And she took me aside. A lot of the students had left. She took me aside and she said, because you are never going to make it as a speaker. She said that. True story. You're never going to make it as a speaker. You'll turn them off. And it was like, God, I just wanted to cry, So 2 of my really good friends, practitioners, knew that Margaret was speaking to me and waited outside. And as I went out, they hugged me. We all cried. Well, I was almost paralyzed. It felt like nothing was possible. And I went to massage therapists and my practitioner and a couple of other people. And 2 weeks later, I came back in. I probably gave the best speech ever. And I recognized in that whole process, and I'm sharing my story, perhaps it kind of touches on some of your stories, that I needed to remember who I was. I needed to remember the fire. I needed to remember the vision that is always alive within us. So I ask you right now, remember always the fire, that spirit. Our practitioners, we've just spent a whole month acknowledging them, which is wonderful. But they know that fire, that living spirit within them. And we can affirm, if we're ill, we can affirm that fire that has a way of moving into our cells of our physical body. It has a way of moving into our mental body to clear things. Many times in our mental body, we get so connected to thoughts that the thoughts just kind of sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes take us kind of downward into, well, who's to blame, or how can this be fixed, or we get into a conjunction there. And what I recognize is the fire. That's what heals. That's what brings all things together in a greater vision. I think about people with visions. And even Helen Keller, not being able to see, being blind, not being able to hear, she wrote all these books. She still was able to express. Then we have the great being of Walt Disney, bless his heart, who had a vision. He had a feeling inside of him. He had the flame. And I understand that his brother also had that flame, but it expressed a little differently because his brother was really good with structure and could bring the structure to Walt's flame, to bring forth the Disney worlds. So to hold to this fire is to live with courage. It is to stand as the man of La Manche does, facing the world's doubts and the practicals that say such things are impossible. Going back to my story about the School of Ministry, I found out, I went back and I did well. I found out that my teacher, bless her heart, that she had been in a big contest when she was younger at a large university. And she really wanted to be the number one person there, to win it, to be a winner. And it worked out that nothing happened there. And she was so disappointed. So what I did on the last day of class is I bought a bouquet of flowers. And I just went up to her and I presented it to her and I said, thank you, because she had been a great teacher for me. Thank you, and you are a winner. you are a winner. That was important for me to be able to recognize that a lot of times people will judge us when there's something inside of them that maybe they haven't resolved. So once again, going back to that place of fire, going back to that place of incredible heart. So life asks us to dream the impossible dream, to pursue lofty goals, and to right the unfightable wrongs. It is the hope that survives despair, and it brings forth many times what is difficult, but it asks us to walk with it, to learn from it, and to allow that fire to be bright. So the fire of inner vision will always meet resistance. There will be demands of others to conform, to lower our sights, to give up the quest. But we don't give up the quest. So this inner fire is the eternal spiritual presence that never leaves one. Reach within ourselves and know there are eyes upon our hearts. There's eyes upon our hearts. It's important for us all to realize that we have heart intelligence. Heart intelligence. Oh, we have the greater intelligence of our mind. I give thanks for that. But to be able to bring that into that place of the warmth of the fire, the heart intelligence. Dr. Chinley, who invented what is known as heart and brain connection, he studied this, that there's a connection between the brain and the heart. And actually, he teaches that the heart is a brain. So we have two brains. We have the brain and we have the heart. And we have this Mobius band that connects them and ignites that fire. So it's important to know that the heart sends signals to the brain, and it bridges the intuition and connects the heart and mind. The heart and mind. So once again, I think about what Grandma said. If God is for you, the spiritual flame, this essence, who can be against you? But through our process, through our movement and our dance of life, many times we have to open to that. So if you're in a process today to kind of opening to that, know that the fire has never gone out. Do not be discouraged. The fire has never gone out. It warms you. It caresses you. Many years ago when I was ordained over in the Vote auditorium, Stephen West was there. Maybe some of you remember Stephen, a great singer. He used to sing for us. Wonderful operatic voice. A couple weeks ago, probably about a month ago now, he was here visiting, and he walked in the lobby, and we saw each other, and we just caressed in a big old hug, and we both cried. And we were remembering this, that after my ordination, it was a Sunday, and I'm on the platform, and Stephen is singing The Impossible Dream. And he moved over. He knew I had just been ordained as a minister, and he moved over, and he, right in front of me, sang to me The Impossible Dream. So that's one reason I asked Tom, would you please sing that song today? The Impossible Dream. So nothing is impossible. With a divine breath, feel your heart intelligence. Right now, with a divine breath, take a deep breath, all of us, and just place your hand on your heart. Just gently. Place your hand on your heart and sense the beat of your heart. Know that it is the doorway to your soul. It's a perfect path, perfect pathway. They once asked Audrey Hepburn, a beautiful actress, what does impossible mean? And she replied, what it means to me? It means I am possible. So with your hand on your heart, I am possible. So to be able to surround yourself with courage. Courage comes from that place of heart. Seek the company of those who dream. Seek the company of those who dare. Dare to go beyond what someone once said was so. So your courage becomes someone else's permission slip, you know. They watch you. The courage to be able to speak your truth, to recognize that in all your relationships, there's only one relationship, and it's the perfect relationship is right here. That makes for a good partnership, makes for good company when we're not comparing, but we're seeing that spiritual light in others. I have another story I'd like to share with you. Speaking of courage, many years ago, a long time ago, I had a great friend. He's passed on now. But a great friend that was severely wounded in Vietnam, severely wounded, to the point, from what I understand from his folks and whatnot, that the medics and whatnot couldn't even put this guy back together again. They kind of left him to die. Well, someone took mercy to bring him back to the United States, and he was in the Veterans Hospital for a long, long time. I met him through a signal for me, singles group, many, many years ago, and he was in a wheelchair. And they said, "This is Chuck Lord." And after getting to know Chuck, I thought, his last name, Lord, is not a mistake. For this guy was possible. And I watched how he would come and, you know, he's adjusting to the new way of his body. And he became a dear friend to many of us. And I remember it was I think it was the 100th year of the Marines, and they had a big celebration here in Denver. And he asked me to go with him. I thought, okay, I can do that. And he went without a wheelchair. Now he's on crutches. We sat at a table with a lot of the different Marines, and they played the music to dance. And I'm sure all those men at the table thought, that man's never going to get up to dance. So he asked me to dance. So I got up, and we went out on the floor, and it was kind of like this. Pretty slow dance, but we danced. I give thanks for people like Chuck Lord, who never gave up the dream. Many of us were there the day that he walked with one cane across the platform at Metro State to receive his degree. The quest, the impossible dream, it's possible. So whatever you're dealing with today, know that it is possible. So persistence is transformation. Each small step feeds the flame. And I know that was the truth for Chuck. Knock on the door of your heart. Enter through the portal of heart. Don't take and bury yourself down in the earth. Move through the portal of heart. So let the sacred vision and the virtue guide you. Let the pursuit of truth, justice, compassion to be the fuel of your inner fire. A vision that is rooted in the virtue will not consume you, but it will ignite the world around you. That's what I know about this church. That's what I know about Mile High Church. I give thanks for Ernest Holmes, the founder. I give thanks for Emerson and a lot of these incredible beings that said, the light of the world lives within. All walks of faith know that. So I just give thanks for Mile High Church. A vision that is rooted in that virtue will not consume you. It will ignite the world. So allow your fire to be bright. Let it warm you. Be in a blaze of flames. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, there's a lamp within each of us already lighted. He said the lamp was already lighted. So sense that. Move onward to glory. And in that knowingness, I recognize there's only one thing that is real in life, and that's that living spirit. It's breathing you. It's your breath. It is the love. And love is that luminous, omnipresent, vested energy. That is the light. So onward to glory. Light up and feel. Just be on fire. Be the medicine. My Native American friends and family, in their readings and writings and in their ceremonies, they talk a lot about medicine. They might say, he has good medicine, she has good medicine. And what that means is essence. The word medicine means essence. We all have good medicine. We all have good medicine. Essence. So join me right now in a prayer. So in this moment of glory, I give thanks for this connection, above, below, and all around about. It's a divine connection. It's a divine flow. And it has always been present, despite any kind of difficulty, any challenge that perhaps you are dealing with, that connection is there. So I give thanks for this absolute divine current, this energy, this light. And I behold that it shines brightly upon each one present here and all online, giving thanks for it in my life and your life, in the life of all beings everywhere, in and through all walks of faith, in and through what is seen as war and discord. The light is still present. So we behold this flame, and we know that it flickers and it never, ever goes out. It heals you, revitalizes. It gives to you exactly what is needed. So I give thanks for the abundance of spiritual presence. I give thanks for each one of you. I give thanks for the rootedness of Mile High Church. So as we move forward in this service today, with a sense of glory, onward to glory, goodness prevails, now and forevermore, and so it is. Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Mile High Church podcast. This podcast is made possible by the generous contributions from listeners like you. To make a donation, please visit milehighchurch.org.